Despite Cyberpunk being my favorite genre, I haven't actually played that many games set in the future. Sure, Cyberpunk 2077 and Deus Ex are the first that come to my mind. But what else is out there? So, one random rainy night, I decided to dig through Steam in search of something interesting, and stumble upon Observer System Redux, a cyberpunk detective game made by Bluebird Team. Bluebird Team. That sounds familiar. Anyway, a couple of hours deep into the game, I felt a bit suspicious. Why is everything trying to scare me? Why is the atmosphere so tense? Oh, that Bluebird Team. Turns out I'm blind enough to completely miss the horror tag. Well, since we're already here, let's take a look at this potential Polish masterpiece anyway. If you've already played Observer System Redux, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. The year is 2084, a future that sounds distant enough to promise a completely different world. And sure, things do look different, but the problems are pretty much the same. The world has survived another plague and a war caused by it, and now everything belongs to corporations. We're not the big cheese in this world, and we have more than enough problems of our own. In Observer System Redux, we play as Daniel Lazarsky, a tired, worn-out detective who has seen and lived through a whole lot of crap, yet somehow managed not to lose his humanity. Despite ongoing family issues, he's still capable of empathy, compassion, and doing his job like the professional he's always been. I wish I could say he's just your average detective, but that wouldn't be true. People like Daniel are called observers. Thanks to their augmentations, they can literally enter the human brain and observe memories. As you might have guessed, this is the core mechanic of the game, if you can even call it that, but we'll get to that later. Even though there are other characters in the story, the game feels like a one-man show. Among the side characters, we meet Janice, the building's caretaker and the only person we can speak to face-to-face. Janice is a war veteran who ended up with outdated implants and some serious mental issues. When he introduces himself, he mentions something interesting.
Name? Janice. Like a Roman god. You know.
At first, I didn't pay much attention to it, but once I finished the game, I ran to Wikipedia. Janus, the Roman god, was considered the god of all entrances and exits in general, including the beginning and end of all things. Knowing one of the endings, you understand why the character was named that way. But let's avoid spoilers, so we won't get too far ahead of ourselves and we'll start from the beginning of the game. While on patrol, or whatever he was doing, Dan receives a call from his son Adam. The message is unsettling to say the least. Daniel immediately realizes something is wrong and heads to Adam's location by tracing the call. Inside the apartment, he finds a decapitated body. The identity can't be confirmed, so there's no certainty it's Adam, which presents the mystery our detective must solve. But that's not all. During the investigation, the building system malfunctions and enters lockdown mode. We're trapped inside an apartment complex with only Janice, a cleaning robot, and a whole bunch of unhinged residents locked inside their own apartments. There's nothing left to do but dive deep into the building's history and uncover what really happened to our son. The gameplay is incredibly simple. If you played Firewatch, Soma, or What Remains of Edith Finch, you'll feel right at home here. Yes, Observer is a walking simulator, and I'm completely fine with that. Besides walking around, we'll collect collectibles and play some minigames. Fun fact, the minigame is another cultural reference. It's named after the novel With Fire and Sword by Polish writer Henryk
Sienkiewicz,
which tells the story of a Ukrainian Cossack uprising against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. The book is hugely popular in Poland, so it's no surprise a Polish developer decided to include it. But let's get back to the game. Aside from walking and killing spiders, most of our time is spent talking to the building's residents, and those conversations are the full-on emotional rollercoaster. Some of them are just regular people terrified by the system failure, and you genuinely feel for them. Others, though, make your skin shiver. Some deal drugs, some grow and sell organs, and some literally use children's brains as storage for their consciousness. And that's still not even the full list of freaks living in this building. But people aren't the only thing that's scary here. The building itself is terrifying as hell. The upper floors feel uncomfortable thanks to neglect, damage, and some seriously disturbing details. But the basement, that's the whole different nightmare. It's dark, filled with animalistic screams, and there's this constant feeling that someone is breathing down your neck. Every room down there brings new surprises and often discussed, whether it's the residents or the things happening around them. Exploring the basement never once brought me joy. Every time I had to go down there, I sprinted through it like a terrified child, because running through those corridors tickles my butt and I don't really like it. Speaking of exploration, it usually looks like this. Daniel is equipped with augmentations that allow him to see biological or electrical traces. With the biological implant, we can analyze fluids, tissues, or even entire organisms. The electrical implant lets us scan devices and other people's implants. And once we scan a brain implant, we can use the Dream Eater, a device that allows us to enter and observe someone's memories. In my opinion, this observing mechanic is the game's biggest flaw. Sure, every mind is a mess, especially in a world like this, so memories are portrayed as fever dreams filled with glitches and horror. But sometimes it's just too much. Don't get me wrong, I'm fine with portraying mental illness and fractured minds this way, but there are moments, and I'm not exaggerating, where you wander through flashing, screaming, glitching memories for a solid half an hour. After that, the only question is, what was the point of this epileptic circus? Was it meant to scare us? Because honestly, the real world of Observer is way scarier. Was it meant to make us uncomfortable? That worked for the first few minutes. After that, discomfort turns into irritation, because you quickly get used to the glitches and just want them to end. The game even warns players with epilepsy every time it launches. And while I don't have epilepsy, even I started worrying about seizures during these segments. Personally, I think the game would have been much better if the memory sequences were shorter and the time spent in the building was longer. The locations in Observer aren't just atmospheric, they are absolutely stunning. Observer System Redux is a remaster of the original 2017 release, and the changes are very noticeable. Improved textures, new lighting, and redesigned environments make it feel like a true next-gen remaster. You can find plenty of comparison videos on YouTube if you're interested. The game is packed with locations clearly designed to deliver visual pleasure. You constantly want to take screenshots and use them as desktop wallpapers. Despite being almost 6 years old, the game still looks incredible, better than many modern releases. I could keep praising the visuals, but there's really no need to. You'll probably agree with me anyway. Observer received solid scores on Metacritic and very positive reviews on Steam, and it's hard to argue with them. The game lets you fully immerse yourself in a dystopian future that has been through hell and will not recover anytime soon. People are cold and withdrawn, and you really feel that during conversations. You're often given choices on how to treat others. You can be rude or understanding. These choices don't affect the plot, but they do shape how you see Daniel as a character. Daniel Lazarsky isn't a super detective with all the answers. He's just a human being with flaws who makes mistakes. And honestly, if it weren't for those damn kids and their computers, life would be a lot easier. Bloober Team did a fantastic job portraying a grim world that existed before us and will continue to exist after us, without massive open worlds, endless locations or countless characters. Just one apartment building and the oppressive atmosphere of wandering its corridors and floors. That memory will stick with me for a long time. I genuinely enjoyed my time there. Even the basement, which caused nothing but discomfort, didn't hurt my overall impression. If anything, its sheer horror only strengthened it. What does hurt the experience though is the memory wandering. The memories themselves are actually interesting. They tell stories and show the world through the eyes of their owners. But the constant flashing lights and psychopathic changes in the picture cause epilepsy even in those who do not suffer from it. The developers really want to scare us during these sections, but the only feeling they create is impatience. You just want to know how much longer it will last. Organ farming in the basement, direct citizen segregation into classes, psychological trauma and domestic violence. This part of the game is frightening and disturbing. Not doors slamming behind me and glitching walls. Those parts just make you want to rush through them to get back to something actually interesting. If you're watching this review wondering whether the game is worth your time and money, I can confidently say, yes, It'll take around 9 hours to finish, and you can grab it for about $8. I really wanted to love this game. Good story-focused Cyberpunk is hard to find these days. If Observer handled its memory segments better, I'd happily give it an 8 out of 10 or even higher. But as it stands, my final score is a solid 7 out of 10.